Hey, what's going on? Let's get this out of here. We are officially 14 days away from the ninth generation of consoles, and I'm going to be updating my list here and giving in a quick update on like what's changed, all the new stuff that's coming around, any last minute launch titles that are coming down. And yeah, it's hype time. Like all the YouTubers and like the gaming press have gotten like their actual retail versions of both the Xbox Series X, the Series S, and the digital and the regular PlayStation 5. I haven't seen any unboxings of the digital edition of the PlayStation 5, but the boxes look beautiful. The PlayStation 5 is like this big and the Xbox is like this big. It looks fantastic. Early on impressions of the hardware are super positive. I like how futuristic and forward thinking the PlayStation 5 hardware is. Like right now it looks like it looks way different than any other console that we had before, but that's a good thing because it stands out. It looks like something you're definitely paying $500 for. The design aesthetic alone, although it's very curvy, you could tell there's a lot of intent and a lot of artistry put inside of it. And it shows, like all like the little Easter eggs that it has, like the little mini pattern of the cross. It's the cross, square, circle, triangle buttons on the inside. Also, the controller itself is brand new, which is awesome. Like I love all the forward thinking that they put into that, which started like last generation with the touchpad and the microphone and everything, and the speaker. So I'm super happy that it's coming together and it's looking like the piece of hardware that I want to progress into the next generation for gaming, for the consoles itself. Because if there's anything that we know about PlayStation, it's that it's always the bar that pushes gaming into like another realm for whatever reason. Well, it's popular for a reason, but like it always pushes the gaming landscape in another direction. Maybe towards their direction, but it's a direction. So I'm really happy of how that launch is turning out to be. The Xbox Series, not to be outdone, looks amazing for a little piece of hardware. It looks like something I could actually not be embarrassed about to hold inside of my gaming console setup, or my gaming center setup. It is very restrained in how it's designed, very limited, but I enjoy and understand why they designed it that way, because all the savings they had that the industrial design saved on, like they knew that they had like a performance goal to hit, so they had targets that they needed to hit with its design. So they needed cooling and power. Those are the two biggest things about the Xbox Series X that is completely on the surface of its console design. So you could tell with the huge fan and the way it's cooling, it needs that in order to achieve the performance gains of its next gen hardware, and to make sure to keep it cold enough to keep working, because I'm sure they don't want another debacle with the 360 with all the overheating issues that happened. So you could definitely tell it's not as maybe imaginative, maybe more industrial design and Bauhaus about how its design is, but it still looks good. The next generation hardware for like the controller is kind of samey, which I'm kind of a little disappointed about. They're just, it's mainly a refinement of this kind of situation. But hey, if it's good and bad. It's good in a way that it will be definitely compatible with all the third-party gaming titles, because not every third-party game title requires all this kind of like motion control or voice recognition or touch controls. But you could be guaranteed that it will be guaranteed that the next generation of the Xbox Series X and S controllers are going to be super compatible, because it's not super specific, with a lot of range of games, software. I'm not just even talking about games, because like I know that they use this shit in the United States drone program. So yeah, it's a very universal kind of device. So yeah, I'm not gonna complain about it, because the 360 controller and this lineage of controller is probably my favorite form factor out of all of them. I like the asymmetrical stick system. I like the shape. The D-pad still needs to be worked on. I hope the D-pad they fix that. That's in people's hands. The DualShock or the DualSense controller, I heard, is amazing. The way that there is actual resistance when depressing the trigger, it's like there's vibration. I heard that the center touch bar, when you do, like for Astro's Playground, when you hit the center touch controller and like press up and zip, I heard that's like a different feeling. Actually, let me get my actual like DualShock, so it's similar. So I heard, so here's the other one. So I heard when you, in Astro's Playground, when you hit the touchpad and you go up, there is actually motion and granularity to how the controller feels. Like you'd actually feel like, with a third-person character perspective, you're actually, you could feel like that there's sand under you, or there's ice, or there's water. Like that is amazing. That you could feel the materials that are under you while playing the game. So that has a lot of implications for next generation gaming, about the immersion that you could probably be feeling. I'm actually really excited to see what also the camera does that they have for the PlayStation 5, and also the headset, because they come out with the Pulse 3D headset. So that's got to be integrated directly into the controller experience. So those two things together will probably create a very unique experience from the PlayStation side. So yeah, I'm getting really hyped now. I'm watching all the videos, even though some of them are like 30 minutes to an hour long. I'm watching them all, being completely immersed in this launch, because we don't get a lot of console launch titles. If you're lucky, you get to see, I don't know, like maybe 6 of them in a lifetime, maybe, hopefully. So that is to say, if there's still consoles in the future, you never know. Everything might just be PCs after a while, because the way things are looking, the PlayStation 5 just looks like a big, like mini ITX towered PC. Same thing with the Xbox. Those are like, they're getting so close and blurring the lines between PC hardware and architecture nowadays that there's nothing too custom about it, and mainly because it's price. It's very expensive to manufacture. How do you say it? It's very expensive to manufacture bespoke components like GPUs and CPUs and stuff like that. So it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense that they're sharing the same kind of hardware, just tweaked a little bit for their specific platform. So you never know. It might be different down the line. So with that being said, I'm really hyped for all this stuff coming down. We're going to look at this next gen spreadsheet. And last time I just went over minor changes that were happening to the spreadsheet. But I think because we're so close, and because there's a lot more information, and it's almost concrete information nowadays, that I could happily say that a lot of this is concrete. Maybe minor changes in the launch game lineup and the window games lineup, but a lot of this is going to remain the same. So I'm just going to go through the entire categories for each one of the specs, and yeah, we'll take it from there. So, all right, again, like I said, if you've seen the other 4 or the other 3 videos, we have 4 next generation systems coming down the line. We have the PlayStation 5, the PlayStation 5 Digital Edition, the Xbox Series X, and the Xbox Series S. The Digital Edition for PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series S, they're only digital systems. They don't have a disk drive as an extra format to feed the games through, and they are less than their normal standard counterpart, which is great, and you have savings on them. However, I don't believe there's that many digital edition PlayStation 5s out there that are able to be pre-ordered. And same thing with Series S. I don't know how many are out there. There should be a lot, because that would be a huge system seller for next gen, because it's only $300. And since Microsoft's trying to push Game Pass, that's like an excellent value proposition for a lot of gamers this holiday season. So yeah, looking forward to that one too. I personally probably would never buy it myself, because I like my physical media too much, but that is a legit answer for a lot of people that don't want to have a huge gaming library anymore. They want it all digital. B, it's a cheaper option and a cheaper stepping point to get into next gen gaming, with a few caveats to that, but yeah, and you get into a gaming ecosystem which is like a very high caliber gaming ecosystem. So It's a very good value proposition to Xbox Series S. Even though people say it's not as powerful, which is true, it's definitely not as powerful as the Series X or PlayStation 5. But a lot of people don't care about that anymore. Like, they don't care if it's a 4K 60 gaming monster anymore. They just want to know if it runs Halo or Forza. That's all they really care about. Or freaking Fortnite. That's probably the more important one. If it could run Fortnite. If this is a Fortnite machine, or what do you call it, like a Warcraft machine, like, that's gonna be a system seller. So yeah, don't discount it just because it's cheap. So let's go again. So $500 for the PlayStation 5 regular edition. Digital edition is $100 cheaper, $399. Xbox Series X is $499. The Series S is $299. Payment plans, none available for PlayStation 5 regular edition or the digital edition. For the Series X, if you could find them, you could get the Xbox All Access Pass system, and that provides you with the console and 24 months of Game Pass Ultimate at a monthly rate. So for the Series X, it's $35 per month for 2 years. For the Series S, it is here. It's $25 per month for 2 years, which is amazing because you'll bet with Game Pass, like, that is the ultimate app right now. You get all of Microsoft's first party and maybe some third party games published day one on launch through Game Pass. So you don't have to go out to retail place, get another, you just download it straight to your system and you're good to go. You have it day of. Good value, very great value. That is an amazing value for people that want to buy both systems. Say you want to have a PlayStation 5, you spend your $500 or $400 for that. And say you're like, oh, it's too expensive for an Xbox right now. I only want a PlayStation, and maybe even if you're in this market too, if you only want a PlayStation and say a PC graphics card, maybe the new RTX cards or the new AMD cards that came down the line, you're like, I'd rather save my $500 to $700 for one of those GPUs instead of an Xbox Series X. Well, you have the option of having the All Access Pass available to you. So it's very interesting how Microsoft played that. So these are very, very extensive options for you to jump into the next generation of gaming. So release dates. PlayStation 5 comes out a couple days later on a Thursday compared to Xbox Series X and S, which come out on a Tuesday, November 10th, 2020. So yeah, that launch week is going to be bananas. It's going to be insane. For the launch games for PlayStation 5, we have Astro's Playroom, which is pre-installed on every single PlayStation 5 console and is a great demo for their new DualSense controller. Assassin's Creed Valhalla has been confirmed for launch. Demon's Souls as well. Destiny 2 Beyond Light. Dirt 5. Fortnite. Spider-Man Miles Morales, hey, Sackboy Big Adventure, which is also coming out on PlayStation 4 that day, Observer System Redo, Godfall, Ribbit's Big Adventure, Maneater, The Pathless, which looks awesome, Bugsnatch, oh my god, Bugsnax is also launching on this day. However, they updated this, so if you are a PlayStation Plus member, which is their online service, it comes with the PlayStation Plus collection, and so Bugsnax, they moved that as a free game for that month. So you already know that on your PlayStation Plus membership, you get access to these PlayStation Plus collection games. You also get free games every month. They decided to have Bugsnax as one of the free PlayStation games for the PlayStation 5 only, not the PlayStation 4. If you have a PlayStation 5, you're the only one getting this one for free. So Bugsnax is included into that type of thing. We have NBA 2K21 also available for launch for this system. So that's the PlayStation 5 thing. Really good launch. Relatively, I would say the biggest titles obviously here, the most impressive ones anyway, are going to be Demon's Souls and Spider-Man Miles Morales. Those are going to be the two heavy hitters. And the reason why you buy those systems. Those are huge reasons. Okay, for the Xbox side, we have Assassin's Creed Valhalla, once again, Destiny 2 Beyond Light, Dirt 5, Fortnite, Gears 5, Gears Tactics, Tetris Effect Connected, Second Extinction, Watch Dogs Legion, Yakuza Like a Dragon, baby. Hey, look at that. Watch my other video for my unboxing of this one. We have the Falconeer, Observer System Redo, Maneater, Cuisine Royale, Enlisted, Evergate, King Oddball, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Sea of Thieves, Planet Coaster, War Thunder, The Tourist, Warhammer Chaos Bane, WRC9, Yes Your Grace, Grounded, Bright Memory 1.0, NBA 2K21, and Just Dance 21. So there are a couple of these games that I know that are probably coming on to PlayStation 5 as of launch, but there's no official statement, there's no like official release date either on GameStop or the PlayStation Store, which has these. Like I know Just Dance 21 is going to be on the PlayStation 5, probably launch date, but they just haven't confirmed it yet. So I'm hesitant to put it on this list only because there is definitely going to be variations in their launch titles, but like they just haven't confirmed it yet, if that makes any sense. So I don't want to commit 100% to it that it's going to be there, not until I see it listed on the PlayStation blog or the PlayStation Network that yeah, this is going to be a launch title for this system, then I'll add it onto the site. But you could rest assured that Just Dance is going to be on every system until like forever. That is an everlasting series actually. I believe also the same goes for Tetris Effect, and what's the other one in here? I believe Warhammer Chaos Bane is also going to be on there. So rest assured there's going to be there. We just need official statements. What I'm really excited about for the Xbox launch is Yakuza Like a Dragon, which is the 7th entry in this seminal series. It's an amazing series. Also Gears 5, which if you didn't play last year was amazing. It's completely underrated and people are not giving it enough slack on what it actually is. And I feel like if you haven't played a Gears game yet, play that one. Like that's an amazing title. Don't let these sales figures and these like freaking trolls and fanboys scare you into not trying out that title. It's a great game. Also Ori the Will of the Wisps. I'm excited about that one because that's going to be the upgraded version of that game. I'm also super excited for Tetris Effect because Tetris Effect Connected is how do you say, like the final edition of that game, where it's an amazing immersive title from last gen that I absolutely love. Tetris Effect is probably one of in my top 10 of the best games from last generation, or this generation technically, of the PlayStation 4 Xbox One generation. It is freaking phenomenal. I love that game. So yeah, those are the big ones I'm really excited about for Xbox. They're obviously missing a heavy hitter to actually compete against Demon's Souls and Spider-Man Miles Morales, because it was supposed to be Halo Infinite was supposed to launch, but that is in its own dev hell right now. I don't know what the hell Microsoft and 343 did with that series. It is completely screwed up. I have faith that they're going to bring it together, but not for a while. They just let go of their latest studio head, Chris Lee, who's been with the Halo franchise for a while. He left for a little bit, but then came back to be the creative director for Halo Infinite. But then he stepped back, and just like that amount of managerial turmoil in your game is kind of, it makes me worried. It makes me anxious for the game because I want Halo to be great, but just having that kind of turnover is never a good thing. Like, you need certain pillars in management in place to make sure your vision and what's going on and to make sure that the product itself is going to be great. And with that much turnover, it's not a good sign. I believe, to me, it's too much politics, too much money tied up into the Halo franchise now, and there's too many cooks in the kitchen to have a focused direction on where it's supposed to be at. Because I know that, yeah, it's Microsoft's the most important franchise. It is, but they're not treating it that way. So it's kind of in the wind. I hope Joe Staten, who replaced Chris Lee, will steer it in the right direction. However, I don't think Halo Infinite's going to be releasing in 2021. It honestly should be pushed back till 2022 to make sure that it gets the proper release that it deserves, because that series needs an oh wow moment, like a God of War 2018 oh wow moment, because that's your game. Like, that's That's the reason why people buy Xboxes ever since, was for Halo. Like Gears, yeah, sure, that's a good supplement, but like Halo was the one. So Microsoft, please steer the ship in the right direction, because it needs it. Okay. All right, so sorry, those were the launch games. I think PlayStation 5 has an excellent launch. I would give it right now, if I were to look at that list, I'd say like an A-, B+ situation. Xbox Series X and Series S, probably like a B, like a solid B. I'd probably give it. Only because like Yakuza on, oh, it has Yakuza on there, but it's only exclusive until March. So Yakuza being on there, I would still give it a B, because it doesn't replace the fact that Spider-Man is going to be awesome and Demon's Souls is going to be great. Watch all the Vidocs on Demon's Souls going on right now on the PlayStation YouTube page, by the way. And the Game Informer page, because they have interviews with the dev team over at Blue Point Studios with Demon's Souls, who are working on Demon's Souls. And yeah, it is very interesting to hear their thoughts on how this genre should be pushed forward, and the artistry that it's going into, the music and the design of the game. So watch those. Maybe I'll have links. Check the links below. I'll definitely link those videos below for you to check out. Launch window games. Here we go. So we got Watch Dogs Legion, which is coming out before this system launches. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, Outriders, Cyberpunk 2077, womp womp, got pushed back to December 10th, so they have one more month. And that's because, blame the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, because those are the games that are delaying the Cyberpunk game right now. I'm so sad. I had my Cyberpunk 2077 console ever since March, and I've been waiting. Well, I've been waiting longer than that, but I've been waiting since then to play this game. But it'll be fantastic. No problem about that. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I believe there's no release date for it, but I think it's going to come out spring 2021. They're also getting FIFA 21, Madden NFL 21, Control Ultimate Edition, Marvel's Avengers, Marvel's Avengers Override 2 Ultraman Deluxe Edition, Planet Coaster, Puyo Puyo Tetris 2, Borderlands 3, Dead by Daylight, Doom Eternal, Far Cry 6, Hitman 3, Immortals Phoenix Rising, Kena Bridge of Spirits, Riders Republic, Rainbow Six Siege, Elder Scrolls Online, The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt, WRC 9, GTA 5, Worms Rumble, Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate, Destruction All Stars. That one's interesting. So that one, obviously, I don't think a lot of people were going to pay $60 for at launch. They pushed that back. It's not going to be it's no longer a launch title, and they pushed it to February, and it's going to be included in the PlayStation Plus subscription. So I don't know if they're going to have an individual release for it later on down the line, or even like a retail packaging release. We'll see, but it looked like, Sony could totally tell that not everyone was super hyped on this kind of game, so it was a big ask to have consumers pay $60 for that title. So it made a lot of sense actually to move that one. They're like still first party, but like not as AAA quality title, onto their subscription service instead. Very smart. So if you wanted to check it out, you could subscribe to PlayStation Plus and you're good to go. All right, so what else do we got here? We got Warhammer Chaos Bane, Scarlet Nexus, Balan Wonderland, Overcooked All You Could Eat, Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition, and Temtem, which has an early access release for this launch window. What else do we got? So that's for the PlayStation side. Much larger list, and some great stuff on there. I don't know how we're gonna get Scarlet Nexus at the same time with like Balan Wonderland. Those are still big question marks if they're going to hit the launch window. I thought Scarlet Nexus isn't going to happen until like summer of 2021. Same thing with Balan Wonderland, but they both list at March or Q1 of 2021. So we'll see. That's just inside of the launch window of both of the next gen systems. So for the Xbox side, for right now confirmed, we have Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, Cyberpunk 2077, Puyo Puyo Tetris 2, Crossfire X, Outriders, Dragon Quest XI-S, The Ascent, which that one looks great actually. I saw a preview for it I believe, through Xbox channel. It looks actually really cool. A lot more interesting than I thought my initial compared to my initial thoughts of it. So I don't discount that one. That might be actually a pretty sneaky hit right there. Forza Horizon 4, FIFA 21, Marvel's Avengers, Madden NFL 21, Control Ultimate Edition, The Medium. That one looks cool. That's coming out in December 10th, which is great. But it sucks because that's at the same time Cyberpunk comes out. So it's good for Ubisoft, not good for the guys over at Bloober Studios that made The Medium. So we'll check that out. Overcooked All You Could Eat, Borderlands 3. Dead by Daylight, Far Cry 6, Hitman 3, Immortals Phoenix Rising, which looks pretty decent, Riders Republic, Rainbow Six Siege, Elder Scrolls Online, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, GTA 5, Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate, Manifold Garden, Scarlet Nexus, Hitman 3, and Devil May Cry 5 SE. Devil May Cry coming out in December also, so those look cool. A lot of these titles have already been released on the current gen systems. These are just official releases for the next gen platforms. Like PlayStation 5 is really simple because if it already didn't exist on the PlayStation 4 from before, or if it already existed for the PlayStation 4 before, it's just getting its own copy and release title for the PlayStation 5. Xbox Series X is kind of weird because the backwards compatibility is really good. So the retail packaging, some of them, like for instance, I want to say, where's that one? Where is one of those? So for like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, so that one will, on the branding on the retail packaging, will say for Xbox Series X and S, and also for Xbox One X. So that disc you could use for either systems. It's compatible with all three of them, or four of them if you count the Xbox One S. So you could use them on both the current gen consoles and the next gen consoles. For the PlayStation side, you have to be very careful to make sure you get for your system that particular disc. So if it's a PlayStation 4 with the blue label packaging on it, make sure you're only getting it for that one. It is backwards compatible for the PlayStation 5 version, but if you're paying like full price for it anyway, you might as well get the PlayStation, and you have a PlayStation 5, you might as well just get a PlayStation 5 with that upgraded PlayStation 5 version with the white label. I know I did terrible on explaining that, but it makes sense. Like PlayStation 4 games, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 games are for the PlayStation 5, but some are also backwards compatible with PlayStation 4. Xbox Series X, you don't have to worry about any of those. You just get the version that you want. You just get the Xbox version you want, and you just play it amongst all of them. It just works. So yeah, it's a little bit more simplified. Okay, what else? We got notable cross-gen games. So like this kind of died down, the drama behind this, but Spider-Man Miles Morales is being developed for both generations, PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, and so it is cross-gen, technically a cross-gen game. Same thing with Sackboy. Halo Infinite also was being developed for the Xbox One and the Xbox Series X, and so that was where the drama came around about cross-gen titles and how the next gen title is being held back by the previous gen title, and so it's kind of stupid nowadays looking back on it, because if you look at stuff like, oh, Cyberpunk's doing it, so like why aren't you railing them for having like that type of capability? I don't know, it's kind of weird. I guess because Halo Infinite didn't wow as graphically as it's supposed to be as it was supposed to, so yeah, maybe that's why, but don't worry about that. Oh yeah, so as a note here, PlayStation 5 can let players upgrade their disc and or digital PlayStation 4 games to PlayStation 5 for an additional fee, or maybe no cost. That is really up to the developer on whether they want to give it for free or not. Like Witcher 3 is going to be a free upgrade because those guys over at CD Projekt Red love their gamers, their fan base. So yeah, that's definitely gonna be free for them. But other titles like Control, that's not gonna be a free upgrade. So pick your poison and make sure you get informed of which titles and which of your favorite titles do you continue and want to play in the next gen are compatible. Make sure you find out which ones are which. All right, so let's go down to the raw hardware specs. Again, these haven't changed for months. The CPU for the PlayStation 5 is an Intel-based X80. I'm sorry, not Intel-based. It is an AMD-based x68 64-bit AMD Ryzen Zen 2 with 8 cores up to 3.5 GHz. Same thing with the digital edition. For the Xbox Series X, their platform is also an AMD Ryzen Zen 2 custom with 8 cores running at 3.8 GHz, 3.6 GHz with SMT simultaneous multi-threading. The Xbox Series S is a little bit clocked down, so it has the same architecture, but the 8 cores are clocked down to 3.6 GHz with SMT running at 3.4 GHz. The GPUs, so the GPU for the PlayStation 5 is an AMD Radeon RDNA 2 with 36 compute units up to 2.23 GHz with a 2.23 GHz clock. The Xbox Series X is a RDNA 2 AMD component as well, with 52 compute units only running at 1.825 GHz. That is kind of interesting. Maybe the controller is better in the Xbox Series X. There's more compute units in the Xbox Series X, but the clock speed is a little lower. Maybe because it's more efficient. I don't know. I'm not a computer engineer. For the Xbox Series S, there's only 20 compute units running at 1.565 GHz, which is because of the lower resolution that it is trying to achieve. The teraflop count on the PlayStation 5 is 10.3 teraflops. For the Xbox Series X, it is 12, and the Series S is only at 4. The target frames per second for the PlayStation 5 is 60 frames per second, but is capable of 120 frames per second. And that is if you have a capable television running at 120 frames or monitor at 120 frames plus. Also, the cable has to be compatible. A high-speed HDMI 2.1 cable has to be provided, as well as the game has to be supporting that. That's the most important part. The Xbox Series X also 60 frames per second target, but is capable of 120 frames with the hardware I mentioned earlier. Same thing with the Series X. The target resolution is different from the Series S and the Series X. The Series S it's trying to hit a 1440p resolution. It could also support 4K through, say, its digital media playback or through upscaling. It could also do that, but it is never meant to hit a 4K resolution standard. The Xbox Series X, on the other hand, 4K is its jam. It's where it wants to be. So that's 2160p resolution, and is also 8K capable with HDR. That is a beast. That is a lot of data running through its pipelines for that to work out. So yeah, those are big differences between the Xbox Series X and the Series S. Which one you get is up to you. Like 90% of people in their households only have 1080p TVs. So the upscale and resolution might be right now not as important, but in the future it might be. A lot of people can't even tell a difference. Like my wife can't tell a difference between a 1080p signal or a 4K signal running through our LG C9 TV, which boggles my mind. But that's what, most consumers, they don't care about that. She just wants to know if it'll run her podcast murder mystery channel and her Star Wars. That's all she really wants. So for the PlayStation 5, 4K is the target resolution, but it is also on the box, on the retail box, it says 8K capable, which we'll see which games support that. All the rays have been traced for each single next generation console. The RAM on the PlayStation 5, 16 gigabytes of DDR16 running at 448 gigabytes per second. The Xbox Series X, also same capacity, with the exception being that the RAM is split into two different speeds. One at 10 gigabytes worth of the RAM is going to be 560 gigabytes per second, and the rest of it, the 6 gigabytes, is only running at 336 gigabytes per second. On the Xbox Series S, it's a lot less. It's 10 gigabytes of GDR16 RAM, 8 gigabytes dedicated to 224 gigabytes per second. The last 2 gigabytes, it only runs at 56 gigabytes per second. That's pretty low. What else we got here? So audio. PlayStation 5 runs a Tempest 3D audio tech system. The Xbox Series X and S run a Project Acoustics with spatial audio system. Not too much spec on that. Not a lot of information on those two pieces of hardware tech. The I/O, so the throughput for the PlayStation 5 is huge. It's 5.5 gigabytes per second raw, 9.0 gigabytes compressed. And I heard that there is also third-party software that'll actually up that. So I think it might not double it quite yet, but like probably like 50% enhance that raw number to probably like around 15 gigabytes per second. We'll see. But I know Sony's working on something to even make that figure a lot higher than it actually is. The Xbox Series X, nothing, I mean, it's half almost what the PlayStation 5 is capable of, but hey, maybe they're using the same kind of tech, or maybe they're doing something different with theirs too. So 2.4 gigabytes per second raw, 4.8 gigabytes per second compressed, both on Series X and Series S. Internal storage, okay, so this is Battleground 2. The custom SSD on the PlayStation 5 only supports 825 gigabytes, but after the OS install and the Astro's Playroom, you're looking at about 664 gigabytes of actual storage space, and that's not a lot. I believe the new Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, I think with everything, multiplayer and single player combined, I think it's at 150 gigabytes. So that is a huge chunk of your hard drive already gone, dedicated for that just one game. And who knows what the other games are going to be like. I want to say that first party games also want to do the same thing, because if like Miles Morales, for instance, if you want it to run as well as it does and have like 0 load times for itself, you're going to have to really truly have that running, or have as much space on the SSD. I'm sorry. If you want Miles Morales to run like how it does, how you've been seeing it right now, you want to install as much of the data as possible onto the SSD and have it readily streaming from there to the RAM to like your screen. Like, you want as much possible. So we'll see if they could do some sort of compression technology to limit that, but that's not a lot of space. 664 gigabytes of hard drive space is not a lot. The Series X and the Series S. Series S is even smaller at 512 gigabytes. So that's laughably small. We'll see how that works out. The Xbox Series X fares a little bit better because it has a 1 terabyte NVMe drive with 802 gigabytes available after the System OS install. So, which is actually, that's interesting, because on the Xbox One X, which also has a 1 terabyte hard drive, I believe there's only like 770 gigabytes left on the hard drive. So they compressed the OS somehow on the Xbox Series X to take up less space, which is nice. So because the internal SSDs are so small, the external storage options are gonna be expensive. They're gonna be pretty pricey. For the PlayStation 5, you could buy officially supported NVMe drives that get plugged into the PlayStation 5 hardware. You have to like take off one of the panels and then screw it into there. But what's nice is that it supports different sizes of the M.2 drives. So there's the 2230, the 2242, 2260, 2280 sizes, and it's basically like how big they are, like in lengthwise. But the PlayStation 5 also luckily supports USB like USB 3.0 drives that you can just plug in. However, they could only be used to play PlayStation 4 games. So you can't run anything like PlayStation 4. You can't run PlayStation 5 games off of the external drive. You have to just buy like an external NVMe drive and then install it into the system, which kind of sucks. For the Xbox size, it's a little bit more interesting on their end. They have like a proprietary Seagate drive, like a little mini digital drive or thumb drive that you just put into the system. It is expensive, but it works as a solution, and it's a 1 terabyte drive. I believe it was $220 the last time I saw, like $220, $230, plus for that drive, which it's in line for a lot of the high-end PC specs that you see for that kind of drive for that size. So it makes sense. But luckily, what they also were able to do is that if you buy like an external hard drive, like a 5 terabyte normal plattered hard drive, which are like 150, like 130, $150. You could install that into the Xbox and use that to piggyback and download all the Xbox Series X games onto. And then later on, when you want to play an Xbox One X game, or sorry, Xbox Series X game, you just transfer that game from the hard drive onto the internal memory, and then move whatever you don't want to play on the internal memory onto the hard drive, and so you'll be able to play it. I hope PlayStation 5 adopts that, because that makes a lot of sense. Like, it's very expensive to spend $500 already on your base console and then have to spend like 50% more to get the expanded storage that you need. So that's next gen gaming for you. I'm telling you, it's just like PC all over again. So we'll see how that works out, and the options that they give us. For the PlayStation 5, the optical drive is an Ultra HD Blu-ray, which is 4K 60. The digital edition obviously doesn't have that because it's digital only. Same thing with the Xbox Series S, doesn't have any optical drive built into it. The Series X has the same kind of Ultra HD Blu-ray drive built into it. All right, the ports. So the front of the PlayStation 5 has one USB Type A super speed slot, and also a USB Type C on the front. There's a second USB Type C on the back, and as well as another USB Type A. I'm not sure if that's the high speed or the super speed one. I gotta double check. But yeah, that's you got 2 ports in the front, 2 ports in the back. Same thing with the digital edition. The Xbox Series X has only 3 Type A super speeds on it, which is baffling to me, because USB-C should be the standard for everything nowadays. I don't know what's going on over there. Networking. The PlayStation 5 has gigabit Ethernet, Wi-Fi 6, which is awesome, and Bluetooth 5.1 for all your fancy schmancy headsets. The Xbox Series X also has gigabit Ethernet, but it only has Wi-Fi 5, which is plenty fast, but like it's kind of weird that it doesn't have a next generation Wi-Fi card option. It has the Xbox Wireless Radio Protocol, which is mainly for their controllers and peripherals that need human input. It also has a network transfer via router. What is that all about? Oh yeah, so say you want to transfer a game save or transfer a system image from an Xbox Series X to like an Xbox Series S in different rooms. As long as they're tied onto the same network, you could easily transfer that via Ethernet on your network, those game files. So, which is interesting. That's very PC-like. But it's nice because, like, say your network is down, like the Xbox already supports cloud saves and all that type of stuff. So it's very convenient to resume where you left off on certain kinds of games, whether it be on your PC through Game Pass or your Xbox on Game Pass. But this is an interesting option to have if, like, say you live in a rural area that doesn't have a very good internet. You just utilize the power of your own network to do so. So that's pretty cool. What else we got here? So the controller, very, very important. So the DualSense controller is going to be $70 for the PlayStation 5, and it looks like it's being justified for that price. It is a very next generation piece of hardware in terms of, like I mentioned earlier, the triggers, the sensitivity and the granularity of what you actually feel in the game world. So that's very interesting. Very much worth the $70 price point. Xbox Series X has the new Xbox wireless controller with the upgraded D-pad, and yeah, I mean, it looks good. I have this one. I love this one. It's fine. But it's not like as next-gen hardware-y as even this, the DualShock 4. So we'll see how it works. It's just a standard device that you could use. The one thing that I like about it is we'll get to there in a second. But let's go over this more. So the controller capabilities of the DualSense 5. Or the DualSense controller. We got haptic feedback, adaptive triggers, built-in mic, 3.5mm headset jack, internal rechargeable battery, motion sensor, touchpad, a new create button, a USB-C type recharging port on the top. It's also, the battery size is 1560 milliamp hour batteries size. It's compatible with Windows 10, which is confirmed, and Android also confirmed. when I saw the unboxings for the controller, I didn't see a lot of the cable. So I gotta double check that. But so yeah, I'll double check that. I'm pretty sure they include it. I mean, when they unbox the damn thing, they're not super excited about a cable. They just want to show you the controller, which makes sense. So I'm pretty sure it's in there. So the Xbox Series X controller, it has DLI, dynamic latency input, which is a system hardware baked. It's baked into the hardware to reduce latency across the entire game, the hardware itself. That's just a system they put into there. It has a share button now, finally, a USB-C port, which should be in everything nowadays, AA battery setup. So you still got these things running in there, but you could also replace it with a rechargeable battery. It has a 3.5 millimeter headset jack, and it's compatible with a wide range of OSs and boxes. So you got the Series X, the Series S, One X, One S. It's also Mac OS compatible, Windows 10, Android, and iOS compatible. Okay, weight. The bigger systems weigh almost the same. 9.9 pounds for the PlayStation 5, 8.6 pounds for the digital edition, 9.8 pounds for the Xbox Series X, and 4.25 pounds for the Series S, which is super small. If you look at the Series S, it's like a Nintendo Wii. It's crazy, like a next gen, like 1440p monster of a Nintendo Wii. It's pretty incredible. Dimension, and that brings us to our dimensions. That's Series S is running at 27.5 millimeters. Sorry, centimeters. 27.5 centimeters by 6.5 centimeters by 15.1. The Series X is 30.1 by 15.1 by 15.1. The PlayStation 5 39 by essentially 9 by 26. And pretty much the same thing with X. It's slimmer, but the max dimension, that's what it's listed here. Extras on the PlayStation 5 include HDMI 2.1 VRR, cloud gaming functionality, configurable game installations, streamable gameplay. Xbox Series X includes auto low latency mode, HDMI VRR, AMD FreeSync, Auto HDR, Quick Resume, Direct Machine Learning, which is cool, streamable gameplay, cross saves between PC, Xbox platforms, and this thing is pretty neat. They put an IR blaster for your existing like universal remotes into the sync button of the Xbox. So that's really neat how that worked out. I didn't think it was gonna have an IR blaster. I thought they got rid of that thing like completely because no one uses remotes anymore. So hey, cool. VR. So PlayStation 5 has VR. It's for the PlayStation VR, the old school PlayStation 4 version of VR. It will require a PlayStation camera adapter that you have to go onto your website with your serial number from your PlayStation VR, the box, and then you input it into their website, and then you're able to get a free adapter back, so you're able to use PlayStation VR titles onto your PlayStation 5. That's pretty neat. Haven't seen anything for the Xbox. I don't think they're really too worried about that at this moment. Backwards compatible games. So this was updated. PlayStation 4 can luckily play 4,000 plus PlayStation 4 titles only. No PlayStation 3, no PlayStation 2, or PlayStation 1. With the exception of 10 titles from the PlayStation 4 libraries. That's fine. The PlayStation 4 library is super deep with games, and you'll never get tired of a lot of them. So that's good news. Xbox has the Xbox One title list is about 2,500 titles. 360 titles about 577. OG Xbox titles around 41 titles. That include the Xbox backwards compatibility. The Xbox Series X backwards compatibility list includes the Xbox One X enhanced titles, which is about 246 of them. The Xbox Series S does not support those titles, obviously because it's a 4K upgrade most of the time. But Kinect games are completely no. They don't want to deal with Kinect. They don't want that in their game system library anymore. All right, what else do we got here? Backwards compatibility for their hardware. All officially licensed headsets for the PlayStation 4, racing wheels, arcade sticks, flight sticks, PlayStation camera, PSVR, PlayStation Move, and DS4 controllers are available to be used on the PlayStation 5, but they're only for PlayStation 4 games only. Which is kind of sad, but it makes sense. All Xbox One accessories and peripherals, except the Kinect, are backwards compatible. You can use them. So that goes for the adaptive controller, the Elite Series controllers, Hyperkin Duke, and the Custom Design Lab controllers. All right, so this is the optional section. These are subscriptions-based services based on your online connectivity and your cloud gaming services. So we have on the PlayStation Now service, which is $10 a month or $60 for the entire year. So the titles include a library of 800 incredible titles, but only 300 of them are downloadable. They should really change that. You should be able to download all these games onto your system. Great library, actually. A lot of good Capcom stuff, a lot of good, sometimes first-party stuff. So they come and go as they please. So like they had, I believe, what was it? It had Bloodborne on there for a few months, and then it had Uncharted on there for a few months. Xbox Game Pass, however, is different in that it is a huge library. It's not, well, I wouldn't say it's huge. It's a big library of high quality titles, and it includes a huge service. So it encompasses both their, if you go for the ultimate version of Game Pass, you get Xbox Live Gold, which is their online service. You get their Game Pass for PC and Game Pass for console, which has cross-play for some of those titles. You get EA Play coming next month, and you get Project xCloud, which you could play Xbox games on your iOS device through their web browser, or you could download a straight app for their Android devices. And it's incredible. Like, there's so much stuff to play, and like great indie titles, AAA indie stuff, and all of Microsoft's for first-party titles are going to be there on day one. And it's all part of the Game Pass system. It's $14.99 per month, but you could find deals for Game Pass for like maybe $44 for a year or $50 for an entire year, and that's totally worth it for what you're getting. The amount of ways to play and how you play is really up to you. They give you that power, and like the flexibility is amazing. Just having to be able to cross-save and cross-platform and cross-play with so many different platforms is amazing. Like, you could play Minecraft with your PC buddies, your Android buddies, and your console buddies at the same time under this service. It's incredible. So yeah, that leads us to the PlayStation, the online services. So PlayStation Plus is their online service. They announced the PlayStation Plus collection, which is a select number of titles to be played alongside your PlayStation 5 day of. So these are actually launch games if you think about it. So the PlayStation Plus collection, in addition to the monthly free games they always have, it includes access to Battlefield 1, Batman Arkham Knight, Bloodborne, Days Gone, Detroit Become Human, Fallout 4, Final Fantasy 15 Royal Edition, so they upgraded that one, God of War 2018, Infamous Second Son, The Last Guardian, The Last of Us, Monster Hunter World, Mortal Kombat 10, Persona 5, Ratchet & Clank, Resident Evil 7, Uncharted 4, Until Dawn, Call of Duty Black Ops 3, Crash Bandicoot, and Insane Trilogy. These last two have been added recently. And Bugsnax next month for PlayStation Plus members. And titles might vary per country, so you might not get the same in like Europe, you might not get the same in Japan, but basically that is amazing. Like, your starting off point for launch titles of those games are incredible. Xbox doesn't have that type of thing. They just have Xbox Live Gold, which gives you some pretty decent titles free every month, but that's $10 a month, $24.99 for 3 months. So I mean, if you're paying that much, you might as well just upgrade to the Ultimate Pass. Like, it's an insanely good deal. So yeah, so those are the free stuff that we're looking at. The PlayStation 5, these are memes. PlayStation 5 looks like a router. The Xbox Series X looks like a fridge. The Xbox Series S looks like a speaker box. And what's hilarious is that Xbox Series X actually made a fridge, and it's hilarious. Watch all the memes for it. It's incredible that they, leaned into the wind and ran off with this whole meme thing. So it's pretty neat. Yeah, the next gen stuff's coming down really quick. 2 weeks is gonna go by like that. So I hope you secured all your your pre-orders and whatnot. You got to get going. I did see that some people are getting their DualSense controllers, their Pulse 3D headsets for the PlayStation 5, the what else is in there? The camera and the charger. So they're all getting that stuff. It's coming out a little bit earlier than the console itself. It looks great. Like, this is gonna be a big jump. I feel like compared to the previous two generations were we're pretty good, but I don't think it really had an impact gameplay wise. Not like this generation is gonna have it, because the technology built into this next generation coming around they're far out leaps what they did in the previous two generations. The previous two generations are basically from the 6th generation, the PlayStation 2, Xbox, and the GameCube. All that was to leap onto the 360 and PlayStation 3 was high definition. Like, that was the only big difference. Like, hard drives were already being utilized in the previous one, and then they're being commonplace in the 7th generation, and then same thing with the 8th generation. The 8th generation was trying to tout 4K, however, it was it was very spotty, so it wasn't very reliable that all titles were able to complete that, or able to provide that to you. So this next generation of games are definitely being developed with a higher resolution than ever before, at least 1440p and above. 1080p is pretty normal nowadays, but the next generation they're going to be aiming pretty high. And then with these SSD drives, they're going to be eliminating loading times that I've been wanting ever since the Xbox 360 era. And like, I was always upset. I was like, this is next generation hardware, how come we still have loading screens? And obviously I didn't understand because I'm not a software engineer. Now that stuff works, but with the speed and capabilities of this new tech, it's going to be possible. Not only that, the new controller features that are coming around, the online connectivity that these consoles have, and what they could do with, like, say, Twitch integration, with being online and part of part of like larger communities out there. It's going to be pretty incredible. And like, gaming nowadays, especially in this year, has been so commonplace, and it's not as outsider as it used to be. So it's mainstream now. Like, people game, like, that's just a thing. You're not that nerd in the corner that just games by himself and that's awkward and weird anymore. It's pretty common. You see it in like all your favorite athletes that play, like Call of Duty, football players, baseball players, basketball players. They all game now. Politicians game. Like, it was incredible that AOC played on Twitch Among Us with all these other streamers, and I was like, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. And I didn't think I'd ever see anything like that with like a politician. When AOC and Duman Umar like came on and played with like everyday people like you and me, like, I was just blown away. Like, no way is there a medium that is like what video games is right now that could connect so many different kinds of people. There's a lot of video games out there and a lot of types of video gamers out there. How I explain that is that you have your PC gamers, you have your console gamers, you have gamers that are only on like iPads, cell phones, only people that play, like, literally they only play like solitaire from like the 1990s. Like, that's all that you technically are a gamer. And so there's millions of us out there nowadays. So it's very comforting to have this kind of hobby that is shared among so many people and can be now appreciated. And I feel like this next generation of consoles will only further deepen that emotional level and zeitgeist mentally among a lot of the population. So I'm really happy that gaming has been able to transcend this stigma of only the nerds play this, only the diehards, the hardcore, the obscured, the recluse only play these games, when that's absolutely not true nowadays. I'm excited. I hope 2021 brings even better gaming fidelity for not only myself but everyone else. And yeah, here's to a great holiday season, guys. 14 days till next gen, 9th generation. Let's do this. I want to have a solid release for both consoles because competition is always good. All right, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you have any comments or you want to just talk about anything that you want, you could contact me on the YouTube page, or you could contact me on Twitter. My Twitter handle I'll probably like list like right here. I hope more gaming comes into your future, and take care. See you later. Bye. Peace.